What's up, guys? It's MB Boxing, and today I'm going to be predicting the outcome of Teofimo Lopez versus Pedro Campa, and this is going to be a 10-rounder in the super lightweight division, and this fight is going to be Saturday, August 13th from Resorts World in Las Vegas, Nevada, and this fight is going to be broadcasted on ESPN, ESPN Plus, or in the ESPN app. And to get both fighters' resumes, Teofimo Lopez, fighting out of the United States, holds a record of 16 wins with 1 defeat, with 12 wins coming by way of knockout. He's currently ranked number 3 by BoxRec. He's a former Olympian, and he's also the former unified WBC Franchise, WBA, WBO, and IBF lightweight world champion. But to list his one and only defeat, it came in his last fight, which was a devastating upset loss by split decision to George Kambosos Jr. It was definitely my pick for upset of the year, and it was also a very, very good fight, might I say, but it was definitely a big upset loss for Teofimo. But to list some of his best victories, he has some very solid wins, as he has defeated Diego Magdaleno by knockout. He's defeated top 15 lightweight Masayoshi Nakatani by unanimous decision. He knocked out Richard Comey inside 2 rounds, and Comey's definitely one of the top 10 lightweights. And he also has his trademark win, which was a unanimous decision victory over Vasyl Lomachenko. And to get his opponent's resume, Pedro Campa, fighting out of Mexico, holds an outstanding record on paper of 34 wins with 1 loss and 1 draw with 23 knockouts, but his competition is definitely lacking. He's currently ranked number 63 by BoxRec in the super lightweight division. He has really no big amateur career, not really any big accolades, but his record obviously does look nice for the fans, or for the sort of casual fans that are watching this fight, and they might think that Teofimo Lopez is taking on a tough opponent in his first fight, moving up in weight, but I mean, really, it's not. It's just going to be a nice showcase win for him, I'm pretty sure. But I'm going to be delving into Campa's resume, but I mean, it's definitely not solid, as his one and only loss came to a guy who had a record of 11 wins with 8 losses, who he lost to by knockout, and his 1 draw came against a guy, I believe, his record was near around like 20-something wins with almost like 10 losses. He had a split decision draw against Abner Lopez. But to list some of his best victories, I mean, he doesn't really have any wins over someone who's outside, any solid wins over someone who's outside like the top 200, or inside the top 200. But I mean, he has beaten some guys with decent records, as he's beaten Aaron Herrera by unanimous decision. He's defeated Jesus Rodriguez by unanimous decision as well. He's gotten a technical decision victory over Domicio Rondon. He's also defeated Abimael Cruz Batista by knockout, and his best win probably came in his last fight, where he got a knockout win over 22-0 Carlos Sanchez Valadez. So in my opinion, this fight, as I mentioned earlier, should be a pretty easy, nice, and smooth showcase win for Teofimo Lopez. And I know, as I said before, that, I mean, obviously this is not really a good fight, but for him, it's a good fight for him just as his first fight at super lightweight. Obviously, I mean, when they were talking about Teofimo's first fight at super lightweight being against Josh Taylor, I mean, that was kind of crazy, considering he hasn't even got that test at super lightweight, hasn't even had a fight there, and he's just already jumping in, facing one of the top guys in the world. But, yeah, because he's just coming off that loss to George Kambosos Jr. It wouldn't have made sense, but maybe just to get a solid win here, maybe one more after that against someone in the top 15, then I think he should be ready to maybe somewhat have a decent fight against one of those guys. I'm going to be 100% honest. As of now, I don't think that he would win against one of the champion, or the only champion actually, which is Josh Taylor. But I definitely think he'll give him a solid fight. But I mean, we'll just have to see how he is at this weight. Because we know he's been having trouble making 135. He's looked pretty drained in his last couple fights, even against Lomachenko, but he still fought great in both of them. Even in his loss to George Kambosos, he still put on a great performance, and it was definitely one of the best fights of 2021. But really to break down this fight, I really think Teofimo Lopez is going to dominate. Although Pedro Campa, he does seemingly have power of his own, based on his knockout ratio and whatnot and his record. I just think Teofimo Lopez, being that although he's had almost double less fights, he's had 17 fights, whilst Campa's had 36. He's just has much more experience, Campa does, but I mean, Teofimo Lopez has much more experience at the top level. He's fought many top 15 guys, and he's beaten all of them, obviously, aside from George Kambosos Jr. With only 17 fights, I mean, he has a very solid resume for that many amount, but yeah, I think it's really going to show that there's levels in this game with this fight. I just think that Teofimo Lopez, much more experience at the top level, has much better wins, beaten much better guys. I think he will just show that he's just the better man here, and I think he will pretty much easily defeat Pedro Campa. I watched some clips of Pedro Campa leading up to this fight. I don't really think he's that much solid of a fighter, if I'm going to be 100% honest. I mean, obviously for that sort of just main baseline, like, Mexican level fighter that could put in a fun fight against another fighter at that similar level. He's obviously very solid in that aspect, as someone who's like sort of a regional in that area, because he's primarily fought his career in Mexico, and he's fought those level of guys which are around top 200, around there. So I just don't think that he's really ready to step up to this level. I think Teofimo Lopez is really going to dominate in almost every single round, and I think he will get a stoppage victory. I think that he will try and come forward on Pedro Campa. Pretty much in all of Teofimo Lopez's fights, he does come forward, and I think that here, even though he is naturally the smaller man, I think that he will still be able to muscle and really just sort of bully Pedro Campa in the ring. And Teofimo Lopez, I hope that he sharpened up his defense since that knockdown against George Kambosos Jr., because in this fight, I mean, obviously, every fighter has a puncher's chance no matter what, but I mean, I just don't think he's going to be much of a threat, but he definitely should not superly overlook Pedro Campa, because Campa, I mean, who knows? This is boxing, anything can happen, but I mean, although he's a massive favorite in this fight, well over more than a favorite he was in that George Kambosos fight, but here, I mean, it's just almost so much that he's a favorite that, I mean, it's very just slim to pick in Campa's favor. Like, for at least George Kambosos Jr., he was a fighter that was recognized inside the top 10 or just outside. I mean, Campa is someone that many people in the boxing game have not heard of, so I think Teofimo Lopez is really going to dominate in this fight, be the dictator of the pace, come forward a lot, throw big combinations on Campa, and I think the earlier rounds, like the first 3 rounds, should be easy rounds for Teofimo Lopez, and I think really throughout the entire fight he will be coming forward, throwing the bigger and better shots, and really just get a stoppage win ultimately. And I think anywhere from that 4th round all the way to that 8th round of this fight, so like somewhere around a mid-round stoppage, I think will happen for Teofimo Lopez. I think he will be able to get a standing stoppage, a brutal knockout, whatever it takes. I think it will go down as a knockout win for Teofimo Lopez, and I think his record after this fight will be 17-1 with 13 KOs, and hopefully for him he could definitely get a very, very good fight in the near future, obviously on Top Rank, or even, who knows, maybe DAZN. But I mean, comment down below your thoughts on this fight. Who you think is going to win? I obviously think that Teofimo Lopez is going to get the stoppage win, and I think that anywhere at any point in this fight, Teofimo Lopez is going to be ahead comfortably. Maybe one off round from Teofimo might go in favor of Campa. Who knows? But I really think that Lopez should be ahead pretty comfortably, winning every round, if not dropping one round or something like that. And that could be anywhere from rounds 4 to rounds 8, where I think the stoppage will happen for Teofimo Lopez. So overall, I believe that Teofimo Lopez will get a very solid comeback knockout victory over Pedro Campa to hand Campa his 2nd ever defeat, and I think that the stoppage will happen from rounds 4 to rounds 8. And yeah, that's really it. I'm MB Boxing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.